Evaluating a rental property in today's changing market. Here are some key factors Billy and I consider when appraising a rental property.
Oh, drum roll, we're live.
Action. It's been a while.
Wow. Yes.
It's been a while since Billy and I have done a live together.
I've had the pleasure of attending a rental appraisal today, or a house assessment, apartment assessment, property assessment.
It was a pleasure taking you along with me.
Yeah, so we're gonna have a bit of a chat tonight about what it takes to go through the discovery phase in understanding what your property could potentially rent for, doing a rental assessment across the property in an ever-changing market.
Exactly. Well, obviously, property size and type. Should we talk about it?
Go ahead.
Well, property's condition always is a major factor when discussing the rental income of your property. It also does bring a high investment return for an investor looking to get into the market. So if it is good condition, guys, you are going to get higher rent return. Poor condition, not as much.
Okay.
Sum it all up.
So talk us through that, because sometimes new is new always best, or can you do does a lick of paint do a good job? What does that look like from a tenant's point of view?
I don't think a bucket of paint is going to put $50 up on your rent. It definitely is going to make other prospective tenants more interested within your property, but not necessarily bring you higher rent return. If you're talking about a new amenities like a new dishwasher, a new range hood, anything in regards to new fixtures for the property, definitely can increase your rent per week. Maybe not as much as you want it to, but it definitely can contribute to it.
Yeah, okay. So you've got property condition.
Yep.
That's a big one. That's something you can control. You've then got some features in the property that are simply out of your limit to change, but you can sometimes adapt and make things a little bit more clever. So property size.
Property size. Unit, semi-duplex, house is always a huge factor when determining a rental estimate of the property.
Yep.
Obviously, a house is not going to get a lower rent as a unit, and that's just, say, a bit common sense.
Yeah.
Talking about features of the property, though, property features. This could be garden, pool, what else?
So changing different areas, like landscaping, different ideas within your property, I think is quite clever. So sometimes where you can't change the size of the property, you can reconfigure small things. If you can squeeze an extra bedroom in or a guest room.
Knock a wall down.
Yeah, that's a really good addition. It gives people the option to house that, if you're making an additional room, an extra guest space or study.
Yeah.
That's really clever. But yeah, certainly outdoors as well. Don't stop just what's inside the four walls. You can also take that into the garden. Yeah, if you can put a little entertaining space out the back, that's another nice.
You know what I've noticed in the last about 3 to 4 months when I'm talking to prospective landlords, they ask me, "Oh, should we include the maintenance within the garden with the rent?" Always a good idea, guys. Always a good idea.
Okay.
But plus $20 on it.
So there's a few changes as to what you can do to help maximize the rental return. Tell me though, as an agent, what do you do to put up a draft as to what a property is worth? How do you nail that price? Okay.
Market research, guys.
So what does that look like?
Well, we use a platform called Logic and further ones over to determine the rental price within that area. So we go online and we check all the comparables, I would say within the 2 weeks, 3 weeks max of what has been leased, of what's on the market in that area. And it also just gives us a great indication of where the market is within that area.
So what you're competing with.
Exactly.
And how far out do you go? Do you keep it to the same suburb, same street, same bedroom numbers? What do you look at as an agent?
In DY, in particular, when I'm looking at units, I always love to look at, let's say the Carlisle, if you guys are aware, 697, 701, something similar, 5 Maramba Road, but I don't do anything out of 5 kilometers radius. I think if you go out of that 5 kilometer radius, kind of not hitting the market there.
Okay. And bedroom numbers, is that really important? How do you break down a property and features?
Definitely. I mean, having 2 bedrooms and 1 study is always going to up the rent. Definitely, you could consider a study as a bedroom. It's up to you. What about you?
Yeah, so I think when you're looking at your property comparisons, particularly if you can find something in the building, that's really nice. If you can find something in the street, that's really nice for a house. Comparing bedroom numbers is really quite essential. Comparing apples for apples, it's the best way to understand a true market value, particularly if it's rented. Sometimes there's some tricks around actually finding out what properties are rented for. We've got some tech that can get in and give you that price if you haven't already found it just as a regular search. So that's quite cool. And then from there, really, looking what's on the market and comparing what's leased in a recent time frame.
Location.
Okay.
Plays a significant part of the role of determining your price for your rental property. So if you are near amenities, public transport, schools, local cafes, shops, this is always going to attract prospective tenants to your rental property.
So they're like your pluses and your minuses.
Exactly.
Sometimes when you look at your own property, and we do this as an agent for you as well, in our assessment, you can add a few pluses for sometimes you're a better location or you've got an extra car space or an extra bedroom. And then you also factor in what other properties are leasing for and what their positives might be as well. So that take into account maybe a couple of those on either side.
Definitely.
Yeah. So all right. So we've gone through the features of the home.
Yep.
What you can do to maximize the property.
Yep.
Rental return. As an agent, you've looked at the condition and things like that. You've now looked at what's on the market, what's leased in the area. Is there anything else you can do to sort of understand what your next steps might be?
You could always just talk to the owner's preferences.
Yeah.
What they're looking for, what their goals are, what they want, what tenants they want within the property. Just always talk to your landlord. See what they want.
All right. So have a chat with the landlord, and if the landlord or the owner is ready to put the property on the market for rent, for any new prospective landlords that might be watching this, how do you know that you're not going to undersell the property when rents are changing so frequently? Sometimes they're up, sometimes they're down. What's your strategy around that?
Well, market research, first of all. I definitely always look at market research, comparables within the area, what we talked about. But with the changing trends of the market, I think the biggest factor I look at is numbers.
What does that mean?
Open homes.
Yeah.
If I'm opening up a 2-bedder, 1 bathroom, 1 car space, always letting those tenants know that there's others coming up on the market, and always just having that, always having that relationship with them.
Okay. So there's certain measurements that we can use as an agent to give feedback to the owner on how the property's performing. Now, there's a couple of different scenarios you can run with, based on where you're going to launch out to market with your listing your property for rent. Some can be some owners will need a tenant straight away. The property's vacant, it's burning money whilst it's empty.
Yeah.
And other owners are slowly moving out of the property, so you've got a little bit more time. So you adjust that to a new owner as per their situation. But things like open home numbers, talk us through that, how that's a good measure.
I mean, you can always determine whether or not price. We do the 3 Ps, don't we? Price, promotion, and product. If we're doing an open home, we've had the property on the market for about a week. We've had no one through the property. Those 3 Ps, one of them is wrong.
Okay. So what's a normal open home number for your first open?
Oh, in today's market, I'm getting 10 plus at least.
Wow.
At least. Since rents are going up and not a lot of property is on the market, Fun fact, there's 9,600 units within DY, only 12 units are up for rent.
Not a lot. And that's total. 1 bedrooms, studios, 3 bedrooms, everything.
Including houses as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not a lot at all. So yeah, you can get up to 10 groups through.
10 groups, yeah.
And from there, do you ever find tenants naturally will off their own back put an offer in slightly above the asking rent, or does everyone come in at a similar level?
Look, it really, really depends their situation as well. Some people are coming from different countries and they need a rental property quick and fast. They might add $5 or $10 on more, but that's based off their own opinion and based off what they think their property is worth for. What I'm seeing now when I receive applications, I don't see a lot of people offering more, but it could be a $10, $15 increase if they are really urgently looking for something. But that's not necessarily going to make them approved for the property.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. And I think for the new owners out there as well, we've got a little comment here, so we'll Grant. Good evening, Grant. Number 1 electrician on the Northern Beaches. A little shout out for you. What about granny flats? Before we jump on to the next bit, granny flats, they seem to be doing really well at the moment.
Because you know why?
Tell me.
Owners, pet friendly. All granny flats that I have been dealing with the past year, a lot of owners do not mind the pets.
Okay. Is that actually a little bit of a tip and trick to sometimes getting a bit more rent, make your property pet friendly?
You know what? They actually did a survey in Sydney. 70% of renters within Sydney believe that all rental properties should have small pets considered on applications.
Well, that's a really good way to advertise your property.
Yeah.
If you're open to the idea of having a particular type of pet, something a little bit more than a goldfish in a bowl, put pets on application, and at least it opens it up to the conversation of potentially having a prospective tenant willing to pay a little bit more in good faith that they're going to look after the property like their own with their pet. Exactly. And you're not committed to taking a horse on in the property, but you can certainly maybe discuss the idea of a single cat or a small dog.
Yeah,
that's quite a good tip for a new landlord, and great for tenants as well that have got pets, because it gives them more options.
Exactly.
Okay. Finally, I'd love to hear whether you see prices change a little bit. So I hope that answers the question, Grant. Granny Flat's doing really well. Pets, anything pet friendly doing really well as well.
Yeah.
I would love to see if you notice prices change depending on how long the property's been on the market for. As an owner, is that something you need to monitor?
Most definitely. When we have properties on the market for over at least 2 weeks, I think we definitely should start considering whether or not to meet the market and look at other comparables within the area as well. But yeah, definitely looking at the rent after around 2 weeks of opens, maybe even 1, because if it is vacant, you are losing money.
So sometimes you might have a couple of different prices. You might have a 7-day price,
yep,
where you're going to be leased in 7 days. What that number looks like now, as an example, we might be talking about an apartment in DY, 2 bedrooms, leased in 24 hours, could be $600 a week. If you're happy to hold on the market a little bit longer and get a bit more feedback, for 1 or 2 weeks, you could get a little bit more. But that's some owners will talk to us and say we really need a tenant quickly, and therefore they're happy to get someone locked in, a quality tenant straight away. And other times people say no, money is more important over time, and we're happy to wait until we get the offer we're looking for.
Yeah, spot on.
But to make sure you're not underselling your property when you put it on the market for rent, you need to be talking to your agent about their strategy around getting the right advertising online, because it's a fine balance between having no one turn up and having too many people turn up where you're not going to be able to get market value.
Exactly.
Anything else to add?
I think we've read it all.
I think that's it. Any questions? Reach out.
Sienna's
true rental asset in the leasing station, in the new management section. It's great. But yeah, from a holistic point of view, I think that's a little bit of a general advice about how to maximize your rental return, how you can improve your rental return, and making sure you've got your property on the market the best way possible.
So yeah, guys, message to all the landlords: if you are wanting a free rental appraisal, Illy and I are here to help. Call us on 8978 6888 or throw us a message on social media. We're available 24/7, as you can see, at 8 p.m. on a Monday in the office.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a good evening.
See ya.
See you tomorrow morning.